Hey everyone, I'm Dragon Raider, Queen of Cards, and we have just got the last of the neutral reveals for Whizbang's Workshop from the Hearthstone Discord, official Hearthstone Discord. So let's start looking at these, and we're going to start with Rumble Enthusiast. It's a 3-mana 2/5. After you play the left or rightmost card in your hand, deal 1 damage to a random enemy. Yeah, this is good. This seems really good. So first, it seems like they're bringing the kind of Demon Hunter Outcast effect to any class that wants to play it. But the reason that I think this is actually so good is because it just hits a random enemy. So that means it can hit your opponent's face. Yeah. 5 health makes it a little bit tougher for your opponent to kill this off. It doesn't have to be a specific keyword card. It doesn't have to be specifically class or a spell or whatever. There's no specific requirement for this. It's just after you play the card from the left or right. That is incredibly open and flexible, and this seems really, really good. It's probably not going to be like something that goes into every deck. It's not a neutral like Astalor or something like that we've seen before, right? That just gets slotted into everything. But there definitely will be decks that will take advantage of this, that will want to capitalize on playing a bunch of cards all in one turn, dealing this mass amount of damage, or playing something to clear your opponent's board and then be able to just start spitting some damage at your opponent's face. This seems really awesome. I really like this card. Next up, we have yet again another origami card. We have Origami Frog. This is a 5-mana 1/4 beast with Rush, and Battlecry, swap attack with another minion. So we have the Origami Dragon, that is a 1/1 that switches both attack and health. We have the Origami Crane that starts at 1 health and switches health, that is taunt. And now we have the attack at 1 with a rusher that swaps attack. So, okay, this seems all right, honestly. Being able to take some attack off of something and rush into whatever you choose seems really good, really flexible. So you can potentially even use this for one of your own minions. Take some attack off of one of your own minions, trade in and kill something on your opponent's side. I think that seems a little bit more flexible even than the other two, where the other two seem like you probably want to be targeting your opponent's minions with the effect. But this one, I think you could probably be targeting your opponent's minions or your own, however you kind of need it. So this one, honestly, to me seems fantastic. And it's rush, so you don't even have to rush into the same thing that you are taking the attack from. Even if it's off your opponent's side, you can take something off your opponent's minion and then attack into one of their other minions. So I really like this one. I think these origami cards are really, really cool. And this one feels really great. It's a little bit expensive though at 5, but it has the really good effect to go with it. So feels pretty fair that it would cost a little more. Next up, we have Forgotten Animatronic. This is a 5-mana 4/6 mech. At the end of your turn, destroy a minion with less attack than this. Okay. It can kill off your own stuff. I don't know. You have to be very specific with what you're doing when you play this card. This seems like something that probably for constructed, for standard, isn't going to see a ton of play, except in really fringe cases. But yeah, this can destroy your own stuff. It all specifically has to be less attack than this thing. So unless you're incredibly massively buffing this up and getting to clear off maybe your opponent's stuff, and this is the only thing on your side of the board, it just seems way too situational I feel like for seeing a ton of play in constructed decks. So this might be something that's maybe helpful in situations, or maybe you can discover this in certain cases, and you're okay with that. Maybe this gets evolved and you're like, okay, it's fine. But in terms of actually putting it into the deck right now, unless there's something that works with this, I feel like this one's just kind of it's there. Then next up, we have Giggling Toymaker. This is definitely kind of a throwback in reference to the old card Giggling Inventor, if you've been around or you know that card. So yeah, Giggling Toymaker here, a 4-mana 2/1, Death Rattle, summon 2 1/2 mechs with Taunt and Divine Shield. Perfect. It's summoning 2 Annoyotrons. Okay, awesome. 4 mana, you're getting 3 bodies. Essentially, it does have the Death Rattle, and it's not a battle cry, so you don't get those bodies immediately. So the turn that you would play this, unless you're killing it off the same turn you play it, you're not getting the value off of it that same turn. But over multiple turns, you get multiple bodies. The Divine Shield taunt minions can be really obnoxious for opponents to deal with. I still think this is pretty good. And we'll see what kind of decks might want to take advantage of Death Rattle effects or even mechs or something. So I think this is all right. Nowhere near the level, I feel like, of the Giggling Inventor. But still, I think it's all right. Then we have Sing Along Buddy. This is a 2-mana 1/4 mech. So many mechs. Says your hero power triggers twice. As well, another throwback. We've definitely had cards well in the past that did have the same effect or would allow you to use your hero power multiple times. So, okay, you get to use your hero power twice with one use. That's pretty sweet. Probably not going to be something that every deck or even every class wants to use, but there definitely can be some classes that do want to take advantage of this. I mean, getting 2 attack as a Demon Hunter for just paying your 1 mana seems really nice. Getting to maybe get 2 pings with a Mage hero power seems great. 2 Warlock hero powers for only taking damage once and getting 2 cards. That's nice. But we'll see what kind of decks specifically that this may end up in, because it's really going to need the reasoning for it being in there, right? This is not something that's just like, yeah, it's good on its own necessarily. I feel like you really want to have a purpose for playing this. Again, kind of comparing it to like Astalor or some of those other cards that are just really great standalone cards. This one might be okay standalone, again, in like certain classes, but I still feel like it will need the right decks to really be included for at least higher meta decks. Our next card is Treasure Distributor, a 1-mana 1/2 pirate. After you summon a pirate, give it +1 attack. Okay, yeah, pirates are back maybe? We'll see. But a little 1-mana 1/2 that gives you some sort of benefit seems great. It's a pirate itself, so there's definitely going to be some synergies, and pirate decks, and especially more like aggressive pirate decks and kind of low curve pirate decks, were something that we definitely have seen in the past. So maybe this is a card that helps kind of bring that back a little bit with some of the other cards. And I think with the core set changes for this coming year of the Pegasus as well, with bringing a few of those neutral pirates back into core, I think this is also pretty cool. I like this one a lot. Next up, we have Clearance Promoter. This is the 3-mana 3/2 Death Rattle. Reduce the cost of 2 spells in your hand by 1. Again, another Death Rattle. Seems pretty great. This is more aggressively statted than not, so it's got a lower health, which means a little bit easier time triggering that Death Rattle, ideally. And you get to reduce the cost of 2 spells in your hand. You play this for 3, you get a body, gets killed off, then you get, ideally, you have 2 spells in hand to get 2 additional mana discounted from your hand. Seems like pretty good value. Again, this is one where this is not some neutral that's going to be slotted into like every single deck. This is going to only go in very specific decks, and decks where it's not just minion heavy. You will want spells to actually get this effect off, but I can definitely see some sort of maybe like a big spell mage or higher spell cost deck trying to take advantage of this. Maybe this even gets paired with that Lina that we saw that plays a whole board full of cost minions for whatever spell you play. Sure, you can discount it and then you get a board full of that stuff. I don't know. This I feel like will find a place, but where, I don't know. All right, then we have another miniaturize. We have Nostalgic Initiate. It's a 3-mana 2/3 with miniaturize. The first time you cast a spell, gain +2/+2. And of course, it has that mini with it as well. So the mini will be the 1/1. And it also has the first time you cast a spell, gain +2/+2. Okay, so we're starting to see quite a bit more things with spells. With kind of a lot of these neutrals. Maybe they're trying to kind of drive people to play more spell decks. Maybe it's just to give people options so that there are those options for like more spell heavy decks. I do kind of like the fact that it is limited to just the first time, because I can definitely see if this was every time you play a spell, gain those stats, it would get way out of control. Silence would be everywhere. Everyone would be running silence or single target removal. So I like that it is limited just so that it's not like too strong. But being able to play this out and get an effect for playing a spell seems really cool, because this also feels like you don't necessarily have to just rely on a huge swing turn like cards that would say every time you play a spell, right? Like you kind of want to capitalize on those as much as possible with huge swing turns, playing a ton of spells. But since it's only the first time, if you have a spell that costs 1 mana or even 0 mana, you could play this on turn 3 or 4 and get a 4/5 body. That seems really good. So I think this is actually pretty neat and probably will fit into quite a few different decks just for tempo, at least especially in the 4-set meta probably. As we get more mini sets and expansions throughout the year, this might fall out of some of those decks as better resources or better tools kind of get added into the game. But honestly, for the first set, I can definitely see this being played in a few different decks. And the last one that we have here is Card Grader. This is a 3-mana 2/4 Naga. Battlecry, if you've cast a spell while holding this, discover a card from your deck. All right, Nagas and spells, definitely something that we've seen a lot. And just like all the other Nagas, really flexible in terms of you can play a spell at any point while this is in your hand, and any turn after you've played that spell, whether it's the same turn or 4 turns later, then you can play this and get the effect. So you can play this whenever you may need it. I guess, downside, like quote unquote downside that I see is it's just discover a card. So it's not quite as targeted as some of the other cards and effects we've seen like this, where you might be discovering a spell or discovering a minion, where you really kind of get to pick what you want a little bit more with that. This is just a card from your deck, so you might get 3 choices that you're like, I don't really want these cards right now. But hopefully, since they're cards that are in your deck, that you at least get to find one that you would want to pick. But it gets you that card right away. You don't have to worry about waiting to draw a specific card if you find it in that Discover pool. So I still think this is pretty decent. Again, with a lot of these, I'm not really sure what deck it's going to fit in. I think with this one, we're really going to have to wait and see kind of what the class cards are to maybe see where you would want to play this. But I still think this is a really good like mid-range or control tool where you could play this at so many varying points in the game and really probably get some okay value from it or better. Well, that is all of the neutral cards. What do you think of all these neutral cards? Is there a neutral card from this video or any of the neutrals at all that you are excited to play with and can't wait to see what decks you can build with it? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for checking this out. And if you haven't already, please check out my official card reveal video that just came out earlier today. As of the release of this video, maybe you're watching this later, but just came out. So check that out, where I got to reveal 3 neutral cards. And you can check out the playlist as well for all of my thoughts on all of the card reveals for Whiz Bang's workshop. Thank you for checking this out, and I'll see you in the next one.